Welcome back to the All-Purpose Pod for an All-Purpose Life, wherever you are today and however you listen to the Call Me Mr. You, the podcast. Thanks again for making us a part of your morning, your day, and your week. We're your weekly mirror check before you change the world. You can find us everywhere on social media except TikTok. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for your support. Please like, share, and subscribe. Definitely go change the world. Good morning, bro. How's it going, brother?
Good. How about you, man?
Pretty awesome.
Big wins this weekend.
Big win. We're going to talk about him in great detail. Good morning, Herb. The man, the myth, the legend. Got the immortal pat down. You feeling good?
Can y'all hear me all right?
Yeah.
I can hear you pretty good,
Okay.
brother.
Yeah, I apologize for any background noise that you may hear. This is how
We're going to see
dedicated I
folks
am to the
waving
show,
behind
man.
you. Photo bombing. We're gonna see it all, man. So
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Well, true story. I tried to find a spot in the corner and plug in my laptop, and the plug is falling off the wall. So now I'm sitting out in the middle. So, oh man, but I'm happy to be here, guys, man. And yep, big wins, big weekend, man.
Same
How
here,
was
same here.
How was that glove service?
So the guy, no joke, the first guy that I meet when I come up there, I say, "How you doing this morning, man?" And he says, "Well, I was doing fine until I saw your sweatshirt, and I was wearing my Alabama sweatshirt." Yeah, I said, "Oh man, I'm thinking I'm in Texas. At least he might be a Texas fan. He wouldn't care, but no, he's an Aggie fan, A&M, so it hurt him." And then the guy came and relieved him right after me. He said, "Man, why could you get me before I saw this guy?" So it's been a good morning. It's been a good morning.
Wow. They can't hurt you anymore, man.
No, they can't hurt me, man. They try though. They try. You know, everybody takes their shots.
You might
think, you're the most protected person on here. Nobody hates Washington.
Yeah, I mean it's a rare thing, but
I don't know if that's good or bad.
I'll take it as a good thing today.
Yeah.
You might not get any snacks on the plane though. Might not get no snacks, so just be ready for that. They might right. Snacks. I mean,
I'm looking forward to this championship game because I think it's probably going to be Michigan-Washington. I think that morning show is going to be a lot of fun.
Wow. Shots fired already, huh?
Well.
I've only been here 2 minutes.
off to incredibly great start already. But let's get into something. Before we get into the topic at hand, I put out a smoking hot poll question. It just kind of hit me yesterday. So you know what? I was thinking about it. Off topic a little bit, but I shared it, tagged you guys in it, and it was only about 14 hours ago, but the poll is rolling right now. But the question was, what's the sport that changed so much that you can't watch it anymore? What's the sport that changed so much that you can't watch it anymore? I gave them 4 options: baseball, basketball, football, and boxing. Is that? Baseball, basketball, football, and boxing.
Let me just jump in right here. Which airport are you at?
I'm in Dallas, DFW.
Well, I only ask because usually when you are at the airport in the gate, it sounds like they're eating oatmeal while they're talking. I can actually hear their gate call, which I can hear their gate call when I'm at the airport 90% of the time.
And I didn't even think about that halfway through. That's why my mic's going to be muted for most of the time until it's time to talk. So I apologize.
No, I'm actually impressed.
We're gonna have fun regardless. This is not an impediment for us. Have fun, be you, man. It's all good, but no worries.
Oh, well, I do have one thing to say that before you get into the poll question. If it is Michigan and Washington in the finals, the next Monday, like before that game, I'm doing the whole show like this.
No, you're not.
You're getting one-word answers the entire time. I promise.
Be better, man.
Remember earlier in the year, did you say, Herb, you're better than that? What did I tell you? No, I'm not.
I'm hoping some time has passed and you.
No, it's the can't teach an old dog new tricks, and now I'm a very old dog, so it's over with.
Oh my God.
I will sit in the corner and go, yes, no, I don't care.
I feel like you shouldn't do that just because I feel like to some degree you guys are fortunate to be in the spot that you're in now. So I think like your attitude would be a little bit better no matter what happens. That's what I'm thinking right now. You don't agree with that?
So the guy whose coach missed half the year is telling everybody else we got to be fortunate. I'm extremely grateful. That's for sure.
The attitude should show in the event that scenario happens. In that same energy. Okay.
Hey, you fired the first shot, buddy.
You did, not me. Let's move on though.
You did. You fired. Well, you fired the second shot.
I didn't fire any shot.
Yeah. Oh, y'all should be fortunate to even be in this position. That's a shot, buddy. If I had said that to you, you'd have been like, "Oh, her firing shots."
We'll see how you feel after the game is played.
Though.
We'll see how you feel after the game is played. If you feel the exact same way about it, we'll move on. All right. Back to our smoking hot poll question. What's the sport that changed so much that you can't watch it? I put it in baseball, basketball, football, and boxing. I guess you can guess which one it is that's scoring the highest. Right now, 42.7% is basketball.
Yeah, which makes sense.
And boxing is right behind it at 26.8. Football did last. You know, my Twitter feed is filled with anti-football sentiment.
Yep.
It didn't make it into this poll somehow. But funny story, if I had done this maybe 20 years ago, it probably would have been boxing. I mean, I was a big 80s boxing baby. I mean, fighting was part of my life just because where I grew up in. And fighting was kind of like, I watched football and watched boxing on ABC Wide World of Sports and go outside and fight people. I mean, that was my thing. Watching Sugar Ray Leonard, Tommy the Hitman Hearns, the Jinx, Michael Spinks, Marvelous Marvin Hagler. That was my era. And it just changed. When it got to the Tyson era, I don't know. Everybody was loving it. I was like, it went down for me. And I haven't watched boxing, I don't think, since then. But really, basketball, you guys already heard me say it more than a few times. The 90s is my era.
Yep.
Nobody's ever touching it. I'll never let you disgrace it or defame it in my presence. It'll never happen. I'll never allow it. There's never been an era like it. Never will it be again. Like even the 80s was like the 90s. It was the king of rivalries. I mean, you had big personalities. I mean, real rivalries, really. Big personalities like Shaq and MJ and Barkley. I mean, it was just unheralded. It was never anything like they played basketball. They fought each other. Everybody would need each other too, but they played basketball. And it was like, how you going to top that? I mean, the top 10 players in the 90s, 4 of them were centers. You know the game has changed.
Yeah.
You can't say that now. It's probably all point guards now.
I mean, you had dudes beating fans in the stands.
That was in 92, I think. Wasn't it with Artest?
Malice in the Palace.
Absolutely, man. But what would be you guys' choice for the poll question if you were answering that?
Go ahead, Eric.
It changed so much you wouldn't watch.
Yeah, I know. I feel like basketball is kind of the easy choice. They have and then all the sports have changed rules to make the offenses better, so I get that. But basketball has lost, it's lost all the physicality. It's lost a lot of the drive. And I take myself as a basketball fan who used to get up at 3 o'clock in the morning to watch MJ play. Now I'm not even tuning in until Christmas. So they've lost people like me, very easily. And it just, I don't know. You don't know what the product is going to be on any given night. You don't know who's playing, what their motivation is. It's like as the salary has gone up, the caring has gone way, way down. And each guy is like, if I go out here and hit 30 and lose, like, I don't really care, And the player movement, I think, has gotten worse. Across all sports, but in basketball, it's almost the worst to where look at James Harden. You force your way to a team. You don't like that situation. You force your way to another team. You don't like that situation. And every stop, you're blaming the other people. Like, I don't know, man.
You're there.
Yeah, one or two teams, maybe it's them. 3 or 4, yeah, it's you. So it's just there's a lot of combinations to where it's kind of, I take my brother for example. People used to follow teams and cheer, and now you're like following players because you have no idea where they're going to be in 3 years. So I think there's a lot of factors contributing to it, but the NBA had to enforce a rule this year for flopping. So that tells you a lot of where it's going. Yeah.
Tells me plenty. How about you, Bo? What do you think?
Yeah, basketball easily. It's one of those where, like Herb said, there's no physicality anymore. If you think back, especially to the 90s, right? Because that was my favorite era as well. Your nightly scores were the All-Star game then, right? When they weren't playing defense. So that lets you know what kind of defense isn't being played anymore. If somebody has like an actual defensive night, it's headlines, right? They're like, "Oh my God, someone played defense." It's like,
"Oh my God,
you're kind of supposed to do that." Actually, I think it's part of the game. It's weird. So and then of course the flopping has made it virtually unwatchable for me until basically the playoffs, especially because of load management and all of that. I'd be so mad if I went to a game right now and I'm like, hey, I'm going to go see LeBron and AD and whatever, right? So I'm going to see a Laker game. And I get there and they're like, oh, just kidding. They're taking the night off. And I'm like, oh, cool. That means I'm going to watch some dudes off the bench and watch this team get smoked. It's like, oh, cool. I'm glad I spent money on this. Although off of your list, I would say that NASCAR would be the sport that I can't watch anymore that I loved as a kid. And because they went away from being the best race team all year to you got to get into this weird playoff system. And so you basically have to be okay and then be good on a few tracks at the end of the year. Right. So all of a sudden it's like, well, I don't have to care. It's basically basketball. I don't have to care about any of the regular season. I have to win just enough to get into the playoff. And then I have to be kind of good the rest of the way.
Yeah. Basketball. Well, NASCAR, I got a couple of votes for NASCAR, but nobody wants to explain why.
Yeah. I'd be interested in that because I don't know anything about NASCAR. I did want to piggyback on one quick point that he made before I'm sorry, boy, I didn't mean to cut you off there.
No, you're good.
To piggyback off his point about paying and then going, the ticket prices have gone up exponentially to where now I'm dropping a couple grand easy to see that LeBron and AD. And now I'm watching, Austin Reeves and D'Angelo Russell face off against whoever's on the bench for the other team, And I know they've got the rule this year about you can't make them sit out back-to-backs, but you also can't make it play. And if you're going to find a team 5,000, 10,000, come on, man.
They don't care.
Yeah, they don't care. And then they also expanded the playoffs, which I understand they're trying to get a little more excitement, but it does devalue your regular season a little bit even more. Yep. You're trying to get that 6th seed, but if I play decent enough and I have to go into the play-in game, well, at least we're still there. So,
well, and if we got guys ducking out, right? Load management or whatever you want to call it. How does the how does adding games for the in-season tournament help? Like,
it does not.
We're already skipping games, so we're going to add games. What planet does that make sense?
The pool's already diluted. You're adding more water. That's what's happening right now. Yeah, so I mean, it's not really an announcement or anything, but me and Bo talked about. I think all three of us talked about that at one point in time how basketball is going to be really hard pressed to find itself on our podcast. Because I don't even want to do it. And with no hypocrisy involved whatsoever, if the Knicks win the championship, I'm not going to change what I said. I may say, hey, congrats to the Knicks after 50 years, you won a championship, but there's not going to be any breakdown. There's not going to be any analysis. I ain't talking about the MVP. I ain't talking about who did what. I think I'm just totally. This poll was kind of weird for me. I'm like, this how you really feel? Or just public pressure? No, I'm really kind of out on basketball.
Yeah,
like, I mean, I can't watch it, and I can't really do much but follow a score on the sports app. I mean, I'm not invested. Like, why waste the time?
Yeah, I think for me, what might get me back in a little bit is when the TV contract. Huh?
The Sonics coming back?
Yeah. So that first year, right?
What a hypocrite you are. You know that?
No. I mean, honestly, that first year of bringing the Sonics back, just because I'll be interested to see what the product is when they bring it, right? Because they keep changing how expansion teams fill their rosters out. So I'm going to be curious what that looks like. But the first time I see our young roster sitting half their dudes and be like, just kidding. Like,
that's what's going to happen, man. It's still part of the same system.
Oh, I know. I know. Like, I'm gonna start to watch, and then I'm gonna see them start to load management, some guys, and then there's gonna be some flopping that immediately will make me think of soccer, and I'm out.
Now,
and along that point, when you guys are talking about, sorry, Mr. We're talking about expansion and stuff like that. I feel like the talent pool is already diluted a lot with expansion, and now you add more to it, and the Sonics are going to start the year with probably 12 C players, and you have a certain amount of superstars in the league, and now it seems like as they try to congregate, you just have so many teams out there that's just like they're just treading water to tread water and hoping they hit somebody in the draft.
Just bringing guys internationally back over again.
Yeah,
it'll be bad franchise. It'll be, I mean, to start, right?
Yeah,
I mean, most expansions aren't, but you know, I figure that TV contract comes up in 25. So Seattle and Vegas are the ones that look like they're earmarked for teams. So, I mean, I'm excited in a way to have basketball back in Seattle, right? But I don't watch it like I did in the 90s for sure. Because, I mean, the product is so different. I don't really find it enjoyable anymore, which is why I tune in basically once it gets to the playoffs. Because then you're reasonably sure that everybody's going to play, right? And you're going to see, I mean, they still don't always, but like
no, I'm laughing because that's the perfect way to phrase it. Reasonably sure. Like I'm pretty, and it's always hilarious. Like I hate to use the Clippers for this, but they're the team that load manages the most, and then their guys get hurt in the playoffs anyway. So you might as well have gone for it in the regular season, you know? So
yeah. No, it's, and that's why I said reasonably, because it's like they still load manage even in the playoffs, which makes absolutely no sense.
Yep.
But, yeah, and then the flopping, you're just like, come on. Like, what
I watch playoff games. I'll be honest. I have watched playoff games, and I have to some degree enjoyed it. So I'll be fair about that part. But I kind of think I'm kind of out on the whole thing as a whole. Baseball is a kind of a different topic. I wish we had time to get into that, but I don't think we do, man. But I'm gonna give you guys a few minutes, man. This is your time, man. Go ahead and brag on your team. We give a go into college football talk. Your teams are in the championship picture. Go ahead, man. Take your time. I ain't gonna say nothing about Michigan. I don't think I even need to. This is your time, man.
Go ahead,
Washington.
Well, okay. So first off, let me say I've had a little caffeine now. I won't be sensitive or butthurt anymore. So apologize to both of you guys. So I'm feeling a little bit better. And obviously, if you guys both made it, I would congratulate you both, and I'd buy the winner of the championship T-shirt. So that's going for you. I'm just proud of my team of what we've accomplished here. You know, it's like everybody had us, you know, put for dead at the beginning of the year, and so it kind of you actually saw a good coaching job this year and a team that improved. You know, and it's when people say, "Oh man, it's the worst Bama team," you know, under Saban. It's like they're not calling the team terrible. It's like you're judging us against our other teams. Yeah, it's not going to be as good as that. But, I mean, we got a first-year – it's like we've got a bunch of kids out here, and everyone's like, you either got to be great or you're terrible. And, you know, we're just somewhere in the middle just coming along. But we beat number one team in the country, man. I just – you know, nobody can take that away from us. No matter what happened with the selection committee, no matter what, you know, came about, I was proud of this team. I was happy the way we ended this year. And, I mean, you know, sky's the limit. So very, very happy for how the year turned out.
All right. Before you jump into Washington, man, let's say some good morning to some folks, man. Good morning, Mom. In the house, always representing. Thank you for supporting us so much, man. I appreciate it so much, man. I think we all do. All right, TMS. Good morning. What's up, guys? Thanks for joining the show. Can't wait to hear from you shortly. Oh, Raj, 1.5 of the Herb and Raj podcast. Of course, you can find him every Tuesday evening at 9 p.m. EST on YouTube and Twitter and Facebook.
Yeah. Newfound respect for those guys after spending a weekend with them and twins. Yeah, it's
the struggle is real.
The struggle is real. I volunteered to get up for the feedings this morning, so I've been up since the 4:00 one, since one of the kids didn't want to go back to sleep. So
yeah, you know about it, huh?
I'll never fully know, but I have a lot more respect for him.
Fair enough. Go ahead, boy. You can jump on Washington, man. Congrats to you guys, by the way.
So Washington is. Let's just say they overcame the most disrespectful line in sports. Plus 9.5 is what it grew up to, right? It opened at 9. It actually continued to grow, which made no sense for them to play a team they'd already beat. So it was interesting, but you know, the Huskies went in, got it done. Got a little bit worried there in the second half when Oregon came back into it. But kudos to Washington for closing it out. Like it was a great game. Both those Washington-Oregon games were fantastic. So fun to watch. And you know, second team. So hey, gotta love that.
That's a big deal, man. I went back to look at some of the numbers over the past decade of teams that were undefeated. I'm saying? It's not. I know people kind of take it for granted, man. I think college football fans take it for granted that you're gonna be undefeated every. It's not. It's not very easy. It doesn't happen every single year.
Yep.
I think it happened from my count. I think it happened like, not including this year, probably happened 5 times in the last decade. Florida State in 2013, Clemson in 18, LSU in 19, Bama was in 2020, that COVID year. I'm not sure if it was a full year or not. Well, it had 13. It was 13 and 0.
We just played all SEC that year. That's all.
Yeah, it was 13 and 0, so it must have been a full year. Georgia last year. You know what I'm saying? Michigan hasn't done that since 87 and Washington since 91, I think. So it's not easy to be undefeated, man. So it's really a big deal. I mean, I applaud, where your teams are. As far as we go, man, I talk about it so much throughout the course of the month that I don't know if I had to say a whole lot. We stood up against a lot of adversity. People were talking, a lot of stuff in the press, and people that were talking a whole lot, do a lot of chirping. We can't find him now. We don't know where Paul Feinberg is. No, we don't know where he is. Everybody's still looking for him. And everybody's been talking and stuff. It's like we went on the field and we played football. I mean, and at the end of the day, isn't that what it's supposed to be about? Even if I had a sign and our opponents changed their plan because they saw that we had the signs, we still had to adjust to what they did.
Yep.
It's still about X's and O's, and I don't understand why people don't get that kind of stuff. You don't become the winningest franchise in college football history because you're using signs. You adjust, you have grit and determination, and you win games. And people even talk about Iowa. A little bit of dispersion casting going on with that. I'm like, we know they were 124th in scoring, but their defense was supposed to be either number one or number two in the number one or number two in the country. I think it's number 2. I think it was, and we gave them a goose egg, 26-0. I think it was. You know what I'm saying, we don't get no credit for that either. I mean, we did what we were supposed to do. We basically that we put a play on our schedule, and we beat them. It's not. I don't understand why we can't get more props for that. But okay, that's who we are, and that's fine. Like I said many moons ago, for me, this has to be the year. We have to do it this year. Losing 20 to 25 guys to the draft is like, yeah, you can replace him. Samaj Morgan is a stud. I like the idea that maybe Coach and Loveland's still going to hang around. That's going to be a nice little start of a nice core. But the other guys, man, they're ready to roll, and we got to take advantage and strike while the iron's hot. And this has to be the year. It looks good for that. It's not a guarantee, but I like what we've done. We went undefeated, and we played teams tough, and we adjusted what we had to without signs. We adjusted on the field. We had our coach out for 6 games as some kind of punishment, and still more punishment pending probably. And we still overcome the adversities, and we're winning. I give props to U of M, man. They did a fantastic job to do what they're doing. So I'm definitely going to brag with my boys. Go blue. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So what we looking at here? Let's run down what actually happened and what's getting ready to happen. And I want to go into the playoff and the whole Florida State deal. Herb, I want you to really chime in on that because I know, I hope you can be unbiased, but I'm gonna need that from you because this is.
I like that he's immediately like tapping out.
Yeah, okay. All right, Pac-12 championship, Washington, Oregon, 34-31. Yep. It was supposed to be a shootout, and I guess to some degree it was that. Big Ten championship, Iowa and Michigan. I think it was 28 or 26-0.
Yep.
I forget which one it was. It doesn't matter, I guess. But
26.
Big 12 championship, Oklahoma State versus Texas. I've seen a little bit of that, 49-21. I got some questions about that coming back once we get to the playoff committee about Texas. I want your thoughts on some things there. But what we have played out now is the ACC championship, Florida State and Louisville. We saw what that was. And then Bama and Georgia. Bama facing the number 1 team in the country. I'm sure the odds were not in their favor. I don't have to even go back and look for it. I'm pretty sure it was not. They were number 1 and they won the past 2 championships. I'm pretty sure everybody was saying three-peat. You boys pulled it out, man. So here we are. Everything's been laid out. And we didn't know until, I guess it was late Saturday night where the playoff committee decided 13 members made up of ADs and former coaches and players which I knew their names. I had some questions for them, but they had decided that there's going to be 4 teams in the playoffs. Let's talk about it. Michigan, Washington, Texas, and Bama. What are you thinking, guys?
Well, I'll jump in first, and then that way Herb can defend this team a little bit.
Get stuff together, yeah.
So, I mean, unfortunately, like, I don't love it for FSU, right?
Okay.
Like they did everything they had to do. They beat everyone on their schedule. They won all the games they had to win. They take down 3 ranked teams. This is where there's a little disparity, right? Bama takes down 4 ranked teams, loses to 1. But I mean, it's tough to not put an undefeated conference champ in the playoff, especially when you figure they've been able to continue winning despite going through 3 different quarterbacks to make it happen, right? The first guy gets hurt, second guy gets hurt. They're on their 3rd string guy. They're still winning games. It's hard for you to not put that team in. But, you know, where the voting happens is, the land of the SEC. So there is some of that bias. So you knew an SEC team was going to get in there no matter what. But you feel bad for the Florida State kids because, I mean, they couldn't have done anything more than they did.
So you guys agree that there is some kind of bias with the SEC towards them? We hear talked about a little bit, but do you agree, Herb? How you feel about that?
I don't know, man. I feel like I've been taking shots like ever since yesterday morning. I've got nothing bad to say about Florida State. You know, I was rooting for them most of the year, but I'm not going to apologize for us getting in. Like, all you ever want is a chance, you know, and our one mistake that we made was losing to Texas earlier on in the year. So it's like everybody wants to kind of throw out, hey, you guys actually got better, and we took down the number 1 team in the country, you know. And somebody posted it perfectly this year, like, I guess their best win, Florida State's, is like our 3rd best win, you know, if you're counting LSU. Like, I actually say this. I'm not taking any shots at Florida State. They did exactly what they're supposed to do, and I feel terrible for them, and it's something that should not happen. But I'm also not going to say, hey, we should just give up our spot for them. You know, I'm happy my team is in, I think, as anybody would be. And, we're like number 5 in strength of schedule this year. We lost 1 game, and we beat the number 1 team in the country. Like, our resume is good. I think the problem is we try to turn this into like the way, same when we do politics. If you talk good about one, you got to talk bad about the other. I think both teams were very deserving. I would even throw Georgia into this. If everybody wants to talk about outrage, you go the whole year on the back of going for a 3-peat, and you lose 1 game by 3 points, and that gets you out of the playoffs. I mean, there's a lot of teams. Well, I won't say a lot. There's 6 teams for 4 spots this year is what it really looks like to me.
Yeah.
So
that's essentially what it is.
It's why I've hated this college football playoff system anyway, right? It's one of those things. It's worked in every other version of football to have a normal playoff system, and we just can't figure it out for D1 because it's true in other levels of college, right? So it's just D1. We can't figure out how a playoff system works. So I'm excited about getting getting expanded because realistically, I would still want to see Oregon in these playoffs, even at 2 losses, right? Because Oregon can play with any of these schools,
right?
So it's it expanding to 12 is necessary, and this year, is just basically the worst case scenario. It really would have been if some of the upsets would have happened because you would have ended up with like 7 teams that all would have been 12-1. Like, that would have been the most chaotic voting system ever. But as soon as you put voting in there, what are we doing? Like, that's not sports.
And remember last year we were trying to debate on who should be the number 4 team. So they thought, oh, this is great, we don't need to expand. And then they get this year, and it's like, that was terrible. I don't understand how you had 5 Power 5 teams and you thought 4 was the number anyway. It seems like 6 would have been like the minimum to start. Like, I don't know who was doing the math, but it seemed like they had to move mountains just to get from 2 to 4. And just to get to 2 was, I'm looking back at more of these in the past, and the number 1 team and the number 2 team would play 2 different games, and people would just go, they look better than them in that win. So they become national championships. So the system's been flawed forever, and they're very slowly making it better.
All right, put a pin in that question about the new system. I want to Don't let me forget about that. I want to come back to that real quick, but I just want to make one quick statement and ask you a question, Herb. Also, we know that Florida State kind of did what they were supposed to do, like you said, but it seemed like the committee broke their own rule too. Remember, I was showing you last week that they seem to favor conference champions that are undefeated over non-conference, and they kind of broke their own rule. They snubbed the Power 5 conference champion. They did everything right on the field, had a perfect season. Said one of the top defenses in the country, and chose somebody else that was not undefeated. It was like, okay, so I want to ask you a question, Herb, and this is just be as unbiased as you can. I really want to know your answer just sincerely. Do you think Florida State had a better season than Alabama did?
No. I mean, I guess if you're going overall consistency, I guess, but I feel like we had much tougher competition throughout too as well. So, and I feel like if you're asking me, I guess you're asking me two different questions. Do I think we would take down Florida State right now? Yeah. And I think
I'm not asking that
game. But
I'm not asking
that. I mean, our only loss this year is to the number 3 team. So, if we're going just by, if you're trying to get an answer of, oh yeah, because they won all their games. They had a great season, but I don't think we had a terrible season either. So
I mean, talk about season, add strength of schedule. That's important too. Committee's supposed to care about that part as well. So I mean,
right. I think we had a great season.
You can get a better season.
I think we both had great seasons.
Okay, right.
You're gonna get the political answer for me on the floor.
Yeah, I got that, and I the bulldog in me want to go a little further. I'm like, don't do me like that on this show.
No, I mean you can, but it's like I because you're kind of on a different side of it. As an Alabama fan, I like for 24 hours almost, all I've had to hear is the shots about it, and like people want us to go at Florida State. I just don't want to go at Florida State. You know what I mean? It's like I got nothing against them, so I don't want to be like, oh well, we had a better season than they did. No, we just had a great season. They had an excellent season. I admit that, but happy they were.
I don't think anybody's expecting you. I don't think anyone's expecting you to go after Florida State. I mean, they clearly deserve to be in that conversation.
Yeah,
I agree with that.
Where my issue is especially with the voting thing, because it's dumb, is they like sometimes it's strength of schedule. Sometimes it's the eye test. It's like at least use the same parameters for every school, right? Like they're like, oh, we like this school, so we're going to do the eye test. We don't care that they lost. Or this team, they went undefeated, but I don't think so. Like those are the things that I don't love about it. I mean, if they had a set criteria and you guys got in that way, love it. Don't care, right? Because then you know what it is you're playing for. But if it's just kind of, well, whatever, this donut's kind of stale, so we're going to eat we're going to eat what we've had before. Like, let's just, have a set of rules that makes sense across the board. And honestly, I think we're still going to end up with this, even with the expanded playoff, because the voting still plays a role. So, I mean, there's still going to be problems of schools not getting in. It's just, it just make a set of rules that people can understand what the voting process actually is.
Right. But I feel like it was like that all year, though. I feel like that was definitely, even in the beginning, it was like Ohio State got to number 1 based off of like one win, but eye test was like, no. But then they were like, well, Michigan hasn't played anybody yet, but the eye test tells us them. And then Georgia hadn't played anybody in the first half of their schedule. Like, the eye test tells us then. And then number 4, we went back to like schedule. So they've been all over the place all year. So.
It's weird, man.
They are kind of every year, let's be honest. I mean, they've used the same, voting technique forever. So, I mean, it's been, it's why, well, prime example, 1991, right? Washington was an undefeated team. They share the national title with the Hurricanes, right? So the voting system is just
join the club, buddy.
Yeah. It's just weird in general.
It is. I'm surprised you're not like as a Pac-12 person more mad, because there was definitely trying to keep the Pac-12 down. So I think y'all had like 5 or 6 ranked teams at one point, and like Washington, Oregon are 5 and 6, and I was thinking, that's just crazy. Like this doesn't make any sense.
So what was nuts is they were trying to say, they were trying to hold them out with strength of schedule. You realize at one time, 8 of the Pac-12, and this is like the midpoint of the season, 8 of the Pac-12 were in the top 25.
Yeah.
How are you going to say they don't have strength of schedule when 3/4 of the conference is ranked?
Right. But strength of schedule is goofy anyway, because you play a team and they're ranked number 5 and you beat them. Now they dropped to number 10. You didn't beat the number 5 team. Now you beat the number 10 team. So it's like, what are we actually doing with strength of schedule? And then it's based on voting too. So
the committee is going to definitely do what the committee is going to do. We just don't know what that is. They talked about how player availability always factors into the decision. This is the exact quote. And I know the guy's name. I just want to say his name. His last name is Corrigan, though. Player availability always factors into the decisions. So they decided about Florida State because Travis was injured, but they put him in the top 4 when he was injured.
Yeah.
Hello?
Yeah.
It factors into your decision, right? So why were they in your top 4?
If they're going to be in your top 4, then why didn't they stay in their top 4 in a win?
Yeah.
There's no reason not to but player availability fact. We don't think they're going to be the team that they should be because a whole bunch of excuses, and it's like it's just a hot mess. But I want to come back to that question about the new playoff system. Is it actually going to be better? Right now, outside looking in, I don't know where that's going to be better at. So help encourage me. How's it going to be better than what it is right now? Right now, it's a hot mess.
Well, so I agreed. As it sits right now, it is terrible. But the expanded playoffs, although won't be perfect, right? I mean, there's still going to be the weird voting element and all of that. What it's going to be is it's going to get rid of a lot of the questions, right? Now, there's still going to be fringe teams that are mad, right? Like there's no way around that because voting is part of the process. So that'll be an element no matter what. But in a year like this one, where you realistically have 10 teams that can throw down against any one of these teams anytime, right? They all get in, right? Like all of those teams probably get in. Now, I don't know exactly how they get placed, especially with the conferences moving around and all of that. Like there's some things that we don't have all the answers to yet. So we'll see how some of that works. But this is one where you're going to have a fringe team that's, probably a 2-loss team that maybe doesn't get in, that feels like they should have and get slighted, whatever. It is what it is. That's part of it. But you're going to see some of these, 1-loss teams actually have a shot where it was, not a bad 1 loss, right? Like it's going to be, Georgia just coming up short or something like that. So they're still going to get their shot, right? So that's where the expanded playoffs is encouraging, but there's still going to be problems because voting is part of the process.
Let's say good morning to the Back of the Bench podcast. Always joining us every Monday morning. Good morning, gentlemen.
Hey.
Great to have you on. All right, so I got 2 questions one about Georgia and one about Texas. So just some points and I'll get your thoughts. I mean, they won 2 straight nationals. Well, number 1, I think the entire season, lost to Bama. And it was the first time. It was their first loss in 2 seasons. Okay.
Yep.
And the committee ranked them 6th.
Yeah.
I'm not a Georgia fan, but it feels like something's weird with the numbers there. Bama won handily. There was no chicanery going on whatsoever. Bama won outright. They did what they were supposed to do. They outplayed Georgia where they needed to. No problem there. But they dropped to 6. That's a troubling number for me because it makes me think about this next part, which is Texas. I mean, they beat down the Cowboys, and I guess they should have. They lost to Oklahoma in October, and they struggled against TCU, which if you watch TCU play this year, they struggled against TCU, and they struggled against K-State. I watched 1 or 2 K-State games too. That probably shouldn't have happened, and it should have made a difference in the overall picture. So I'm not saying that Georgia should knock Texas out, but it should have been a whole lot harder to put them in over Georgia.
Well, but that adds kind of a weird element because Texas beat Alabama. So in that scenario, Alabama's still outside looking in. Like that's where all of this is weird. That's why I like the 12-team thing, because you could have a 1-loss team and still get there.
The committee's problem on that one was going to be they no matter how Texas looked and Alabama looked, Texas beat Alabama. So they've been very consistent in ranking them above it. Well, if Alabama beats Georgia, you can't break that for the last one. So no matter how you did it, it would have had to go Texas, Alabama, Georgia. So they kind of locked themselves into that position, and Texas really just honestly rode that Alabama win for the whole rest of the year. They never had to look good doing anything else. I'm not impressed by beating down Oklahoma. I really wish Oklahoma would have not, kind of crapped the bed for the last couple of games and knocked themselves out of Big 12 title games. I think you get a much better game, much better shot. But yeah, Texas, they beat Alabama, and that was their shot to get in, and that was it. But the committee locked themselves into that position after that win. So
I hope this new playoffs. Hope it's even if it's exponentially better. I'll take that. I love college football, but I do not love this.
Yeah, so I agree.
Somebody's going to get knocked out. We know that. I think Bo already alluded to earlier. Somebody's going to get knocked out. Somebody's going to be unhappy. Everybody's not going to be happy. I haven't seen it my entire college football life. Everybody was ever happy 100%. That's going to happen. But this feels bad, and I don't know if it's not about Florida State so much as they just the public victim of this, I guess you could say. But it's like I don't know if Florida State was the wrong choice. Who should have been left out then?
Well, so did you guys see J.J. Watt's theory on this? He said they should do an emergency expanded playoff for this year, where they have 6 teams. Michigan and Washington get a bye, and then you end up with Florida State and Georgia still in there.
Florida State. I'm going to ask you who's going to be in there. Florida.
Yeah, so it'd be Florida State, Georgia, Bama, and Texas would be the bottom 4 teams. Washington, Michigan get a bye. Those 4 teams play. So I mean, it just adds one extra game, really. But
you guys like this idea?
I'd be in favor with. I still don't get how we got to 6 with 5 Power 5 conferences.
Yeah,
that never made sense to me. So you were already asking for someone to be upset every year, and if you wanted conference championship games to mean something, then you had to give all the Power 5 conference champions an in. It doesn't make sense, because what you're doing is you're rewarding teams who didn't play great out of conference, and then you play your regular season. If you can get to that one conference championship, you're good. But what about the teams that played tough ones and didn't? I don't know. I would have gone with 6 to start, and if they wanted to do all 5 Power 5s in the best group of 5 team, I'd been fine with that too. But
so is that going to be the new system then? Is it going to be 6 for the new system, or is it going to be 8?
So it was 12 in the new system, but it was 5
in the new system.
Yeah, the new system.
In the 12-game playoff that starts next year, it originally was the 5 conference champions all get in, and then the top ranked group of 5 team would be number 6, and then you rank the other 6. But then the Pac-12 left, so now they're still trying to figure out what to do.
So we don't even know.
Not really.
I don't think they made a decision yet.
Yeah, no, it's
they're pushing. Yeah, they're pushing for now it to be a 4 and whatever. So I think the only thing that's protected is that the 4 conferences that are still left are all their champions are all definitely getting in. And I think the top group of 5 teams still gets in, and then we're just gonna figure it out.
Yep.
This is going to be fun. All right.
Yeah. I do think there'll be less arguing about the number 13 team not getting in though than the number 5 team not getting in. But
without a doubt.
Yeah, but it's
the math bears that out.
Yeah, yes. 2 years from now, we'll still be talking about how this is ridiculous when they put 7 SEC teams in.
I feel that way. All right, so just real flat. I want to jump into our power rankings, but real quick. So the 4 that we have, you guys are good. You guys feel good about it. I mean, no hesitation. This was the right call.
It is as good as you can feel about it, right? Yeah. I feel bad for Florida State, but I mean, the case can be made either way. So it's not like I'm mad about it. You just feel bad for a team that went undefeated and became a conference champion, right?
And like I said, I 1,000% agree with it. But it's not like we put Ole Miss in instead. At least you did put a conference champion. But no, it's. If I'm Florida State, somebody posted this morning. I said, no, if the situation was reversed and we were undefeated, I said we'd be at the committee members' houses right now, picketing outside. So, and that's not even a joke, sad to say. So no, they have every right to be outraged, and I feel it.
I guess I'd be the other person to say I don't know. Honestly, I just don't know. I look at these numbers so much, my head is spinning. I don't even know.
No.
I feel like there's room for Texas to be interchanged out of this, and Florida State to be in there, and vice versa. I don't know.
Sure.
Yeah.
I got no problem with Bama being there whatsoever. It doesn't bother me whatsoever, despite the little funny video they got floating on the social media right now. It doesn't bother me one single bit. I don't mind playing y'all.
Can I say this though? That video is funny because what were they going to do if Florida State popped up, going to cheer? Like I think the reaction was going to be the same no matter what happened. Like you play who you play, and you got a month to get ready. So
I mean, that's the thing, right? Like you put whoever's in front of
you. Yeah,
I don't know. Georgia was dominant except for the game that you beat them in. But it's like it felt weird to penalize them that much.
Yeah,
that seemed heavy for a 3-point loss.
You could put them in there with Bama, and it would work for me. As a matter of fact, if I had to pick one now, since I'm sitting there thinking about it, the math may not bear out, but it's just me fantasy college footballing. I'd have Michigan, Washington, Georgia, and Bama. I don't think you can do better than that.
Yeah.
That's a baller four right there.
Yeah, no, I like
competitive, high level. Them 14 can ball.
Yeah,
I mean, might not even be an option. But for me, if I had to pick one right now, just spitball it. That'd be my four right there. But let's go ahead and move on, man.
They would definitely would have rioted then. But yeah, go ahead.
Without a doubt.
We're talking about burning down the whole show.
Yeah, well, I'm trying to get more college football fans on this show. I don't have that many like you guys, so.
Oh, you're good. You're good. You two were the only ones that really slept well on Saturday night, huh?
I had to deal with what I can deal with. All right, power rankings. Who's going first? My power rankings are all jacked up, just to be real. So
yeah,
I'll tell you that right now.
I'll give my terrible ones first. I mean, San Fran was my only like easy pick at number one. You know, so I went San Fran, I went Philly, I went Baltimore. Dallas I put in at number 4 because I think they beat Philly next week, and you know that puts them into a spot where they might be tied for the second. I feel like San Francisco is the only one I can really count on, but I do think Dallas is going to come alive at home and manage to beat Philly next week. So then I put KC at 5, Miami at 6, Jacksonville at 7. I had Miami above him until I forgot that Miami actually lost to Kansas City, so that was a tough one. But Kansas City does not look good right now. I mean, they're like, how much do we have to do to try to win this game, and what can happen at the end? So then I put Detroit, and Indy, and then Houston, and that might only be 9.
I wasn't writing yours down. I have no idea.
That's 10. Because once you get to the end, you're just kind of like, I mean, how many
football conference right there? Like that does not work.
I could be a committee chairman then.
No, like I said, mine's going to be great, but this is. I struggle with a couple of these. I didn't know what to do, honestly. But my number one's going to be the Niners. Honestly, best team in the NFC. I know the Eagles record, they had 10-1, but still,
yeah, agreed.
But they're just the best team. Period. Flat out. I got the Chiefs there at 2 only because nobody can jump them right now because there's been a lot of losses. They don't look good, like you said, man. And my question is, I want to talk about that if I can. Why don't they look good? That's what we're not talking about. They don't look good. We know that, but why? I think
their offense isn't as explosive as it used to be. I think that's like,
yeah, that's part of it. But why don't they look good? I mean, the defense is really good. But
defense is really good, but you know, it's okay. I'm gonna use our team as an example. If your defense is really good and you step off the field and your offense is 3 plays, 5 plays back out, defense back out there, all of a sudden you're just wearing yourself down, and always you're looking for a little crack in the armor. So you got to have both. You know, you got to have an offense that can sustain some drives. And it's almost like if I can't find Kelsey, we're going 3 and out. This drive is stalling, not getting the red zone anymore. So all that contributes to it. And your defense has to get back out.
There's a whole bunch of stuff going on, man. I'm talking about route running, not being on the same page, communication issues. Holmes.
Yeah.
I know we can't invoke his name. It's like blasphemy shit. He's part of the problem. You know what I'm saying? But there's some stuff going on there with that. I mean, all these guys not running the right routes. It ain't just drop passes. It's not being in the right place where the ball is. It's a whole bunch of stuff.
Agree.
It's trying to.
I think they've done the Mahomes thing and said, hey, he can play with anybody. And I think they're now realizing, okay, maybe he can't. Maybe we should get some talent there.
Well, I mean, they don't really have any weapons.
Right.
And Kelsey has looked slow all year.
Yeah.
Now I know he's been out.
If they catch the passes, it'd be better. If they catch passes and
Well,
run the right routes, they
But
gotta have
that's
a
what
big
I'm saying.
name.
Like drop passes are a huge issue for sure. But no, I mean, like the offense looks slow.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's tough to win games that way. But their defense, kudos to their defense, because they have a defense that they haven't had really since Mahomes got there. They finally have a defense that can get off the field. But I mean, if the Browns are any indication, right, they would have a historic defense if their offense could maybe do anything.
The Jets and the Pats would like a word as well.
Jets could absolutely do the same thing if they
we're not going to talk about it.
constantly.
All right. So we're at 2. So at 3, got the Eagles there. It's just kind of out of respect, place in the division, but they don't look great either. Got the Ravens. They were idle, so I left them where they were. Got the Cowboys at 5. I had to finally give them some props. Top scoring team, 31.5 points per clip. They're 13 in a row at home, man, averaging almost 30 points. And they beat Philly in the first game this year. So it's like it's looking
No, Philly won the first game against Dallas.
Philly won the first one?
Yeah, Philly won the first one. At Philly.
Okay.
Yeah. That's why I said Dallas, I think, gets them at home this game.
They deserve to be at 5, though.
Yeah.
I got the Dolphins at 6, got the Lions at 7. Wow. They surrendered nearly 100 points and almost 1,200 yards in the last 3 games since their bye week. What were they doing in their bye week? I don't know. But they hit the roll 4 out of the next 5 weeks. They hit the roll 4 out of the next 5 weeks, and they haven't been a good road team. So I don't know what the Lions are doing, but you're going in the wrong direction, man. I got the Jags at 8. I got the Texans at 9. I brought them back in. Then they're on a 3 or 4 game winning streak. But it's like these guys just need one nice little stretch, and they can be right there. I brought in the Colts at 10. They were winning 4 straight without an actual viable running game, which is like amazing. Zach Moss ain't doing jack. And these boys just winning 4 straight. I'm like, it's just crazy. But I love it, though. But go ahead, Bo, man. Knock your power rankings out real quick, please, man, so we can move on to the –
Yeah, so obviously Niners at number 1. Easiest pick of the week. I have the Ravens at 2. Eagles at 3.
Interesting.
Got the Lions at 4.
They didn't even play. They went to number 2. They moved to 3 spots. They didn't even play a game.
Yep. I got the Cowboys at 5, like you do. Dolphins at 6. I have KC rolling in at 7 because I do not like what I'm seeing from them. They have a loss. They beat the Raiders, but they were getting absolutely smacked in the first half. And then they lose this one. That's 3 games in a row. It's just kind of not great football. So I have KC rounding number 7 there. Jags at 8. Texans at 9. And then, of course, at 10, I was struggling to go either way. It's either Steelers or Colts. The Colts are doing it with no running game. The Steelers are doing it with no offense at all. So it's kind of a weird 10 spot there. Yeah. So that rounds out my top 10.
That's a bold strategy by the Steelers, by the way.
You probably could have put the Falcons in there at 10 too. I mean, the weird part is probably could have put Atlanta at 10 too, and and nobody would say anything about it because it's still the division leaders. But it's like, man, but you look like trash. 5 and 6 is like it's weird. Yes. The power rankings are getting harder, which is probably a good thing for us. I don't know how many games you're going to get to, man, because it's like so much. But since we already talking about the Chiefs already, let's go ahead and chat about the Chiefs and Packers since we're talking about how their offense looks and everything. And now I'm like, I should have loaded my power rankings. They're too high. When I step back and think about it, I'm like, wow, you deserve to be number 2. You're the best, one of the top 2 teams in the league. Wow. Oh, well. But, last night's game, man, what you guys thinking? It was anybody picked Jordan Love and the Packers? Nobody on that panel did last night, that's for sure. Nobody. It was a clean sweep.
I think I did in Bose. Actually, I picked the Packers to win.
Did you?
I have to check my CBS Sports thing. Yeah, the weeks I've forgotten 2 total weeks to even pick. So my overall record is terrible. But I think I picked them.
You guys got your own game on the app. You guys got your own game.
Yeah, I told you about it at the beginning.
No, you didn't.
Yes, I did. You were on my first show.
Yeah, I got Green Bay.
I like pick'ems too.
Yeah. Well, I always forget them. That's why I don't usually join them.
On my pick'em show to start the season.
Can I join y'all? Can I join y'all's team?
Of course. I mean, it's like here, but
okay, to the original question though, the fact that Kansas City even had a chance to win at the end was shocking if you're watching the game, because it just seemed like Green Bay dominated, for 47 minutes. I mean, it was crazy that there was even a last minute drive. And then, side note to this, I hate that the officiating got so bad for like the last 2 minutes, because it overshadowed how well Green Bay had played and how bad Kansas City had played for most.
It was balanced though.
Yeah.
No, I just think we highlight the last one, but it's like they had a terrible unnecessary roughness call that kind of set up everything that happened afterwards. I mean, if you erase all that, like Green Bay was just dominating that game, and I think they deserved to win. And I don't know if it says more for the development of Love and how Green Bay is playing, or how bad Kansas City is looking lately. I think it's somewhere in the middle, but I mean, Green Bay absolutely earned that win last night.
Absolutely. And I don't want to beat the horse about Jordan Love. I just said what I already said before. I believe that if you give him time, like we should, most quarterbacks starting for the first time, and essentially a rookie for the most part, a rookie on the field anyway, you give him some time. Look what's happening by giving him some time. The boy looked good.
Yeah, he did.
He looked really good. I hesitate to say no, close to C.J. Stroud yesterday, but not all the way. But he looked really, really good yesterday. And this is against the defending champs, and he didn't shrink. I mean, there were a couple of throws that were like, ooh, I'm saying that could have been deflections and interceptions, but he looked fantastic, man. I think he's that guy for the foreseeable. But yeah, like I said, at the end, those calls and whatnot, it was a really fun 5 minutes and 30 seconds. We didn't know what was going to happen. It was a bad personal foul call. Rice fumbles, which is like he hasn't really been doing that, so that was kind of a weird one. We thought the game was over with. Missed that PI call on MVS. That was. I won't call it the game of the week because I think the Niners may have that, but that was a really, really good game. I liked it a lot, man. What else did you see there about the Chiefs and their offense? Did you see what we were talking about earlier with just Mahomes decision making wise, the route running, ain't just on Sky Moore. It was other stuff going on. It was just like a lot of confusion. Mahomes throwing the ball and there's no player around it to catch it. It's like, what's going on with that, in your guys' opinion? Real quick.
I think honestly, it's just kind of a lack of talent at the skill positions. Like that's really what their biggest issue is there, because their defense is good. Mahomes is obviously still good. Kelsey is still great. He's just, he's not the player that he once was, especially battling through an injury. So not having weapons on the outside hurts this team a lot. Like you can be the most dynamic thrower of the ball, but if you don't have anyone to throw to, or they can't get any separation, we've seen this movie before. That's why Dan Marino doesn't have a ring.
Yeah. I feel like the protection was a problem too. I mean, the Packers got
no one gets open. That sound got weird.
I have. All right.
I can hear you. Nope, not anymore though. Oh, there you go. Say something.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Now I can hear you. Weird. Your sound got really quiet for some reason.
Mine.
No, you fine.
Okay.
But I'm muted.
Yeah, I've got some weird. But,
I got you.
All right. Game you guys want to highlight? Niners and
I do have a bad game to highlight. I feel bad for both the Pats and the Jets defenses because, for the Pats, you've given up 26 points in 3 weeks and lost all 3 games. That's ridiculous. And then you have the Jets in there. The two teams gave up 19 points total this past weekend, and they both lost their games. Like that just should not happen in this modern era of football. Like that I don't even understand how that's a thing. So I'm
not even sure they even tanking. I think that's just
bad.
That's just them.
The Jets had championship aspirations, so and they've got talented, skilled players. They just don't have a talented quarterback. And then, the Pats are doing whatever the Pats are doing. So I don't think Matt Jones was blameless. Yeah.
Wow. That's some ugly stuff, man. I mean, say the truth, that game with the Steelers and the Cardinals was not pretty either.
No.
You got rid of Matt Canada, had an offensive show the week after.
Sort of. They didn't put any points up.
Yeah, they put 16 points up.
Could you see the difference? I mean, I could see it.
Yeah, like they were able to move the ball, but
that was something that we weren't seeing. So that's the zone part of it was not great, no question. But I don't know, man. I like Tomlin. I like that he has a winning record his entire time there. But man, something's not right. I haven't put my finger on what it is yet. Everybody was blaming Canada, but I'm like, I don't know if that's what it entirely was, because they look rough out there. And the Cardinals shouldn't have run a rough shot over there. I don't care if it's Kyler Murray back there or not. They shouldn't have run a rough shot over like that. That's what the defense is supposed to have. That was brutal. It was brutal. You want to talk about the Seahawks and the Cowboys real quick, man? You want to leave that alone, bro?
No. I mean, I'll talk about it. One thing I'll give this game is it was probably the most entertaining Thursday night game we've seen in a long time, right? It was finally a game that was fun to watch. Obviously I would have wanted it to end a little bit different, and I would have liked the refs to be less involved in this game. Between the two, there was 19 penalties for like 200, almost 270 yards. Like that is an insane amount of penalties for the Zebras to be throwing flags. Like that's brutal.
They were keeping whole drives alive just basically on penalties at times. And it was just, it made, did you guys have an amount of screen time that you were trying to get to? That's what I was trying to figure out.
Yeah. I mean, I could have swore they had their names on the back and they were just doing this all day. Like, I don't really know what they were doing out there, but it was not fun to watch. One of the things that was really frustrating was at the end of the half, could have been a huge momentum swing. They made the Hawks score 3 different times because of penalties from the goal line, but with 7 seconds to go. Ultimately, they still punch it in, right? So it didn't actually change the outcome of the game by any means, but at some point, you got to let these guys play football, right? Like, if you want to throw a flag, you can on any given play. So, I mean, if you just want to throw flags, like, you can be busy all day. But some of the calls, I mean, it's some like kind of low-key hand fighting that they're throwing flags on. And it's just like, man, you can't call it that close, right? Some of that's going to happen because otherwise that dude is going to be open because you're going to touch each other if you're playing good defense, right? Like you can't hold them. You can't alter what they're doing, but you're going to touch them. Otherwise you're too far away to make a play on the ball anyway. So some of the calls are just, they were frustrating to watch, but away from that, it was a very entertaining game the whole day. So I liked it. I would have liked the win. It was one they really needed. I think the magic number for getting into the playoffs in the NFC is 10-7. They have a much harder path to get there now. They face the Niners this coming week, which is, not an easy out, obviously. And then they face the Eagles right after that. The last 3 games, I think they can win, but I think you're on the outside looking in if you're 9-8.
That's fair, man. One thing I want to ask you guys about, that's with the Lions and Saints game. Now, we talked about their defense already. It would be their bread and butter. They haven't been explosive, limited to no pressure off the edge. They gave up 113 yards and 3 touchdowns on the ground, 250 yards in the air to Derek Carr, Taysom Hill, and Jameis Winston. And it's like, I got a question about this, though, about Derek Carr, because I told my wife this because she was watching the part of the game with me. And every time Carr gets injured, he usually has 3 or 4 injuries at one time. I'm not being cute. I'm saying this is what actually happens. Whenever he gets hit, which is normally what's happening, he has 3 injuries. He's either a concussion, a shoulder, a wrist, or concussion, or ankle, or it's like, in you guys' opinion, keep the Raiders out of this. This is not about them. In your opinion, is he a keeper in this on this team in this system? Because I know they paid him, but I'm seeing a body language of his fellow players, and it's like, wow. I feel like they have, and Jameis is not the answer. I'm not sure Taysom can do it on a full-time basis. I think we've seen that. So what do they do? Because I feel like this is not working. What do you guys think?
Yeah, well, so the thing is there's too much talent on the team to play the way they're playing, offense and defense. So this is one where I think you move on from the coach. I thought their coach was probably going to get fired this year anyway, but you move on from the coach, and then from there you evaluate. Because I mean, you paid Carr, so you're kind of stuck right there anyway. But move on from the coach, get one that the team seems to respond to, because the way they're playing, they don't currently. Because again, I mean, based on the roster, I had them at the beginning of the season walking away with this division. And the way that they're playing is not indicative of the talent they have. So you have to look at the coaching for as badly as they're playing.
Okay. Any thoughts, Hurt?
No, I agree with that. I'd also like to add, I mean, the division is so horrible that you would think even passable play, from a team as talented as them would get you a win. So I just don't understand. Yeah, the coach has to go. It seems like it's shaping up to be a pretty deep quarterback draft. So even if you're not picking high, you could get somebody for the future. Carr gets one more year out there. I mean, trot out Winston for a year. Tell him, stop throwing it long every play and throwing interceptions in the double coverage. And you probably get through. You probably still have just as good a chance to win the division next year as you do this year.
Wow. Any quick thoughts on the Rams? I'm looking at them like, oh wow, I totally forgot about them. I totally excluded them from any thought of them being a contender, and they are starting to make a couple of strides, and I think
they should be the 7th seed right now.
Their potential to get to the into the playoffs went up 14%.
Well, they should actually currently be the 7th seed because they beat the Hawks twice. So they should actually knock the Hawks out of the 7th seed right there. So, I mean, the way they're playing, they could definitely get there. It's one of the things that I said about the Rams all year is they're going to be a tough out as long as they keep all their guys healthy. As soon as their main couple of starters go down, that'll be the problem for them because they have no depth. But if they can keep everyone healthy, I mean, they're a good team.
Everybody was scared when Pakul went down. Everybody was panicking like, "Uh-oh."
Yeah. But the way he went down, it looked like it would have been a collarbone injury. The way he went down, which would have been a season-ending deal. Because he came down on his shoulder the way he did, that looked like it easily could have been a collarbone or AC joint issue.
Yeah. I thought it was someone on his side. He was laying on his right side the entire time. I didn't know what was going on with that one. All right, but we got a few questions, and this is mainly from our buddy Raj. There's a lot of tough questions here. Let's try to jump through. Well, this is a comment here. Okay. The committee's reasoning would be justified when Georgia beats FSU by 3 touchdowns. Probably so. I don't know how that bows into a new system. I don't want them to get the cockiness that they can take this attitude into a new system. I want them to go ahead and adjust and kind of do the right things because you need to. Our conference, the Big Ten alone, is going to get bigger. So it's going to be a lot tougher. Iowa's not going to be running away with the West all the time now. I'm pretty sure that Oregon and Washington are probably going to get dropped in that West division, if I'm mistaken.
Well, they got rid of the divisions, didn't they?
Yeah, I know we're doing away with divisions. I thought Big Ten as well. I'm not sure.
I didn't hear that. They are. That's great. I haven't heard that whatsoever. If you have,
I think everyone else is.
Yeah, I think they're getting rid of the divisions.
Even tougher for a team like an Iowa or whatever. We got Washington and Oregon in the same place. So yeah, definitely.
Just so Raj and I share the Twitter account. I'm definitely the more diplomatic one, and Raj is definitely the more let me make everybody mad one. It's hilarious. And most people think they're responding back to me, and I'm like, I didn't even say that, guys. That didn't come from me.
Y'all for real gonna have to work that one out. Work that one out. All right. Well, I share Bo's sentiment. Even with 12 games, there will still be teams on the outside looking in, pleading for those final spots. I know that. I'm sure Liberty wants a spot too. I get it. I totally get it. All these questions for me. Question for you: would you rather Michigan play Bama or FSU? I feel like y'all should know me by now. You should know my answer to this. No?
It don't matter.
You still learning each other, man? I want to play the best because people don't think that we are the best. So I want to play the best. In this scenario you laid out, it feels like you think this, and I'm sure if I say I agree, you nod your head, but it feels like Bama is the best of these two, right? Is that what you guys think? That's what I want to play.
I want to play the easiest. I'm tired of these heart attack games. Like, give me Mississippi State and Vanderbilt in the playoffs. I'm good.
I mean, okay. I don't.
No way. You want to beat the best team. It's the only way you can really say you're a champ.
I wanted Iowa to put up a fight. I ain't gonna lie to you.
Yep.
I'm like, fight back. No, I wanted that, but that's not what happened. All right. Side note: we are discussing the power rankings last night, and Herb had Miami at 5, and now they're at 6. Who can you trust these days? Wow.
And you thought shots were coming from us.
It feels as though that Herb is doing what they call flip flopping.
There's no love this morning. I'd call my wife, but she'd probably take shots also.
or just stop flip flopping in life. Then maybe she won't do that.
But no, I just need to let my brother see my rankings before I say
something else for y'all to work out. Probably him texting me right now saying, "You're dead to me, brother." All right, man.
Flip flopping. That you have to do that. That's dolphins out of water, right?
That's a dad joke if I ever heard.
You're welcome.
I applaud that one.
Might be in the top 5. Thank you guys again, man. It's been an awesome show. Any closing thoughts before we shut it down?
Just looking forward to this coming week. Oh, actually, yes. We got our first Wednesday wrap-up Wednesday morning this time.
Ooh. I'm excited.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun.
All right, man. Well, wherever you are and however you listen to the Call Me Mr. You, the podcast, thanks again for making us a part of your morning, your day, and your week. We're your weekly mirror check before you change the world. Guess what we're about to do?